Welcome at the STS meeting 2016 in Phoenix, Arizona. This afternoon we will have a meeting of the international workforce, and the topic of that meeting will be, introduction of new devices, and especially in countries outside Europe or outside the United States. How are devices introduced there? Sometimes they're tested there, but they're still not available for general use after the approval of those devices. So that will be the topic, and of course there are a lot of ethical dilemmas around this topic. I have two distinguished guests here, and they will introduce themselves. So let's start left side with the youngest panel member.
Thank you. My name is Moritz Wyler MD. I'm the chief resident in the Integrated Cardiothoracic Surgical Residency Program at the Medical College of Wisconsin. I do have a stark interest in new technology, and so to me that topic is obviously very pertinent. I'm not 100% convinced we're going to find the right answer whether what to do with device testing today, but I'm looking forward to this discussion. Very excited about it.
And my name is Aurelio Shaw. I am a cardiothoracic surgeon, now retired from clinical practice, but still doing research at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles as a visiting scientist in the Division of Cardiology, and also involved in the development and hopefully production of new devices. And this is going to be a very interesting discussion regarding how can we introduce the devices to medical practice, which is a difficult task to achieve these days.
Yeah. So I think, with the presidential address from Mark Allen, who was also talking about innovation and how important it is for our profession, I think it's very well chosen topic, actually. We didn't know what his topic would be for the presidential address, but I think for today and for this afternoon, it's actually quite, it's a coincidence. But already you're an innovator. You like to innovate. You like to do research. So once you have a device ready, let's say for the first-in-man implantation, what kind of hurdles are there if you want to test it in men?
Well, the road to development of implantable devices is really very difficult these days. And the difficulties really start long before the device is ready for implantation, as you very well know. Obviously, you have an idea. You want to pursue that idea. You need a team of individuals in order to be able to develop and mature that idea and bring it to reality. And the president of the association this morning was absolutely perfect in his explanation of this process. Once you have gone through all the stages that are required in order to develop an implantable device, and you get to the point where you are going to start clinical trials for your device, then in addition to all the economic hurdles, the funding for those trials and everything else, the main thing that I see that it is difficult is the regulations from all of the FDA and all of the other. Yeah. I'm not saying that the regulations are not necessary. No. It is important to have some degree of regulation and to be sure that when you're going to start using something new in patients, it's something that has a future, that is going to improve the situation of the patients, and that, of course, requires a lot of steps before you get to human trials.
Yeah. So innovation takes often place in the United States, but what you see is that a lot of the testing is also taking place in Europe then. So Moritz, because you have a background, you come from Europe,
yes,
and you work now in the States. So what is your viewpoint on this?
Well, I think it's well known, it's been established that the FDA has been more restrictive in terms of processing applications and has been maybe moving slower, some would say, in terms of getting new technology into the U.S. market compared to Europe, where you have a very different structure, I think, as well, in terms of regulatory background. I think it's important to keep in mind that the regulators, the FDA, has a very important critical mission of keeping the public safe and keeping them from harm, and trying to strike the right balance between that mission and allowing innovation, allowing new technology to be readily available for the larger population. So,
but if you, for example, look at TAVI, I think the United States were the 49th country to approve TAVI. So it could also stop innovation. Is that an issue that you see happening?
I think so, yes. I think it can be detrimental. I think there can be too much regulation. I think there is a certain point at which having very strict rules in place and being all too careful can be detrimental, not only to the market, but eventually to the patients and the availability of new devices to patients.
So you're right. In Europe, you have to prove safety, and in the United States, you have to prove safety and efficacy for a new device. And I think that is one of the major hurdles. And it means always that you have to do randomized studies, etc., which are very costly. So even outside the let's say, the trials and proving safety efficacy, there's also ethical committees. And we know that in certain countries, the ethical committees are not so strict. And so we often hear Paraguay as a country where you can go and test a new device. What do you see any ethical dilemmas by going to a country like that?
No, I don't see really problems, and the reason is, in the first place, I think that the ethical requirements are extremely, extremely important. Okay, but I don't think that it is impossible to obtain a good ethical overview of projects outside of the United States and Europe. And what the United States and Europe should be a little bit more open, in my point of view, is to accept that things can be done somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And the solution is not to say we don't accept what is being done in Paraguay or any other country, but to be absolutely certain that the studies were done following regulations that are similar and compatible with the United States and Europe. Yeah. Now, how are you going to do that? I think that the organizations in charge of the control of quality in the United States and Europe should set up a system to supervise studies that are going to be done in other countries. Yeah. Not that they're going to do them here if they don't want to, not that they're going to do those studies over there, but they should be a way to supervise the studies that have been done while they're being done.
Yeah. So maybe if I could touch, as an example, one of the earlier TAVI devices was tested in India in a 28-year-old woman, and that died of that procedure. Well, we would never consider a European or an American patient of 28 years to do a TAVI device. We always say, well, it's a high-risk patient, elderly patients, etc. So, Moritz, what's your point of view? Should we allow that?
I think it's a very complex topic, and I think sort of what we're getting to is what moral and ethical standards we want to abide by. And I think if you look at normative ethics, there is two broad schools that take a very different approach. There's the consequentialists that say, well, the end justify the means. So going somewhere abroad, testing devices and getting them into the market for which they were developed is a right thing to do. On the other hand, you have the deontologic approach where you say, well, no, there is moral rules that apply to everyone equally, and then I think it will be a little harder to justify such trials. I think ultimately it's important to recognize that it's a decision as a society locally, but also globally, as to what we want to make our ethical and moral standards. I think here in North America, the autonomy of the patient has always been a very strongly upheld principle, and I think that's been reflected if you look at bioethics, which has mostly been concerned with consent, autonomy of the patient, which is in stark contrast to a different school of thinking where you have a more utilitarian approach where you say you want the greatest good for the greatest number of people, which is truly more the public health perspective or the global or public ethic perspective that becomes increasingly more important. Right. And I think there's no right or wrong answer in this, but there are different thoughts that people surround themselves with, and I think it is a difficult question to answer ultimately.
Yeah. So sometimes the argument is used, well, if we would not have been there with our device, they would not have had any treatment. So at least we offer something. Do you think that that's still ethically justified? Is that the justification?
No, I don't think that that's a justification. I think that not only the investigators, the group of investigators, and the group that is going to supervise in the country or in the hospitals where these studies are going to be done abroad, and also the American and European institutions should be absolutely convinced that when somebody is going to start studies in populations of new implantable devices, all of the other steps prior to these have been completed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay? And that you have something that has a high probability of being successful. Yeah. Now, under those circumstances, then you can approach somebody, the population is going to benefit from having a new technology. Yep. Okay? But the controls have to be similar to the controls in the what is called developing countries. Yes, right. And just the fact that you're going to have something new, and you have the argument, well, we are going to benefit a population in a country that could not afford to do this before, that alone I don't think is justifiable.
No. I agree with you. So to end this roundtable discussion, what would you see changing in the regulations here? If you think about your new device that you are developing, what would you think would help you?
I think that it will be helpful to change some things, yes, and to have a little bit more of an open mind. And I think once again that the topic of the president today and the way he treated is very, very important, because the important thing is that the easy problems and the easy solutions are not where the problems are. The problems are in difficult problems and difficult to obtain solutions. That's where the situation becomes very difficult to deal with. And in order to deal with that situation, you have to have an open mind and as objectively as possible judge both the invention, the innovation, as well as the inventor, the innovator. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. And that is difficult to obtain. I mean, the easiest reaction is, for instance, you're going to do something that doesn't have a solution today, and the solution is difficult to obtain, like, for instance, landing in Mars or something, or something like that. And then the easiest thing is to say that cannot be done.
Yeah, right, and then give up.
You know,
right.
and then give up. But that's not the case.
No.
I mean, if somebody tells me, listen, Dr. Shaw, you cannot do this, that is going to
stimulate you.
To help me to concentrate in doing it more than in not doing it. Because I don't want to tackle easy problems.
No. Moritz, do you have a short advice?
I think, we can't forget that medical device testing is not just done abroad. We have phase 1 clinical trials here in the United States and Europe where healthy volunteers sign up to try out drugs or devices that they don't need. They just do it for the sake of advancing product development and getting to the place where the products need to be. But they do it because there is typically an economic incentive. And people who sign up for that are not those who are wealthy because they don't need that economic stimulus. And I think the same goes for device testing abroad. So it's not merely just a discussion between nations or continents, but it's a discussion within each of our societies and ultimately one of what can we do to reduce social disparities and make healthcare affordable and accessible to everyone.
Yeah,
so I think that is ultimately what we need to strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great. Thank you very much for your insights, and we're looking forward to the discussion also this afternoon. I think it's a great way of also underlying what our president has said this morning. And thank you very much for being here on the panel. And thank you all for watching here at the CTSNet video. And we're looking forward to get your reactions. Thank you very much.